Hi there. Thank you for joining me on this Good Friday for part 3 of the Easter Without the Bunny vlog series. And Good Friday to me, I always have a hard time finding the good in it. I think the reason it's called Good Friday is because we know how this story ends. We know that in a couple days, Jesus is going to rise from the dead. But I think on the day when Jesus was actually crucified, it seemed that there was nothing good about it. I want to read this passage from right after he was crucified. It's in John chapter 19. It's verses 31 through 34, and then I'll continue at 38 through 42. Since it was preparation day, the Jews did not want the bodies to remain on the cross on the Sabbath, for that Sabbath was a special day. They requested that Pilate have the men's legs broken and that their bodies be taken away. So the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first man and of the other one who had been crucified with him. When they came to Jesus, they did not break his legs, since they saw that he was already dead. But one of the soldiers pierced his side with a spear, and at once blood and water came out. After this, Joseph of Arimathea, who was a disciple of Jesus, but secretly because of his fear of the Jews, asked Pilate that he might remove Jesus' body. Pilate gave him permission, so he came and took his body away. Nicodemus, who had previously come to him at night, also came, bringing a mixture of about 75 pounds of myrrh and aloes. They took Jesus' body and wrapped it in linen cloths with the fragrant spices, according to the burial custom of the Jews. When I read that scripture, I picture Jesus beside the two other men on the cross and the gruesome, discouraging, sad task of taking him off the cross and dealing with the aftermath, dealing with the disappointment and the finality of death. Jesus told people that he would be risen again in a few days. But I think when looking at Jesus' body, completely lifeless, and his side pierced, I think that it felt like death was kind of the end. And I know that it can be really hard being in the middle of a situation like that. Being in the middle of a situation where you feel like it is the end. And Jesus knew that even though he had told his disciples what was going to happen, I think he knew that they were still going to maybe be feeling a little hopeless, feeling maybe like it was the darkest day of their lives, and maybe a little bit alone. So before Jesus left and before he died on the cross, he left them with some promises. And these promises are from John 14 and 15 and 16, chapters 14 through 16. And I'm going to jump around a little bit, but I just want to read them and I want you to really soak them in. In one place, Jesus says, before he goes, I will not leave you as orphans. I am coming to you. In a little while, the world will no longer see me, but you will see me. Because I live, you will live too. And then a little later on, he says, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Don't let your heart be troubled or fearful. You have heard me tell you, I am going away and I am coming to you. If you loved me, you would rejoice that I'm going to the Father, because the Father is greater than I. I have told you now before it happens, so that when it does happen, you may believe. And one more, he says down at the bottom, truly I tell you, you will weep and mourn, but the world will rejoice. You will become sorrowful, but your sorrow will turn to joy. You will have sorrow now, but I will see you again. Your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take away your joy from you. Jesus knows, God knows what it's like for us when we are in the middle of a situation that feels like death. He knows that it is hard to see outside the darkness of that situation. So he gives us these promises so that we can believe even when we don't believe. And so that we can speak them over each other and over the people we love, maybe when they can't see the light through their darkness. We know how this story ends, and it ends with victory. And I think that all of our stories can end in victory too. When we put our hope in Jesus, he tells us he won't leave us as orphans. He might be gone for a little while. It might feel like he's not with us, but he is, and that he's coming back for us. And there is so much good in that. So happy Good Friday, and I'll see you again tomorrow.